Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name's Cinderellimouse and I'm super excited today because we have early access to the Sims 4 Adventure Awaits expansion pack. This is courtesy of the EA Creator Network who provide me with codes for the packs. So this is ad sponsored by them. Having said that, I always give you my honest opinion. I do tend to be quite excited about Sims packs, but I genuinely have been very impressed by this pack. It's gone above and beyond my expectations, so I can't wait to talk more about it. But before we do, there's some things that you guys need to know. Now, with me having early access, you're going to see my name floating around the screen. That I can't do anything about that. It's to make sure things don't get leaked, and if they do get leaked, they knew where it came from. So please just ignore my name. It's not ego, I promise. This is not final software. They are still working on it. We've got early access really early this time, so they have given us like a list of bugs that they do intend to have fixed by the final version. So a few things may be a little bit rougher on the edges still, but trust me, they're on it. The other thing is that I do have all packs installed. Now, I do have permission to do this. They do say it's not recommended because they're still kind of like tweaking a few things, but I'm really glad that I did this because I know that you lot really are interested in knowing how a new pack works with other packs before you go ahead and make a purchase. It's something that I really care about, cross expansion pack compatibility, and I've been super impressed by what I have seen, so I can't wait to share this with you. With me having all packs installed, you do need to be very careful about what comes from which pack before you make a purchase. Do your research. You know, additional gameplay requires additional DLC, so if you want to know specifically the details of what comes in the new expansion pack, watch out for videos on that. This is specifically looking at all packs and how all the different packs work together, so just be aware that you're looking at like the whole game here. And again, I'm very blessed to have all this because I've been playing The Sims since day one. I'm kind of a super fan, so being able to have all this is very exciting for me. If any of you are considering buying anything from the EA app, no pressure, and you want to use my creator code, it's Cinderellimouse. This means that if you use it at checkout, some of the money you spend comes my way, so it's just like giving me a little tip. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It works on all Sims games and like other games as well. Like, I know they've added like loads of EA games to the list, so if you just give it a try, it'll either do it or it won't, and thanks so much to those of you who do. All right, let's start off with one of my favorite features that has ever been added to The Sims 4. I use it all the time, and that is the get together club system. Now, I find this so useful for so many reasons, just for kind of like controlling the Sims, getting them to do what I want them to do, getting them to do the activities that I want them to do. I use it for like, I've got like a repair service where if things break and my Sim doesn't know have the handiness skill, they can join the club and call them over, and the handy people will come and fix all their things for them. I use it for work from home careers so that I can, like, you know, have my business Sims go and work in a bank and things like that, you know, actively. And so I have it set up for all these different things, and I never run out of uses for it. And I'm super impressed with the compatibility between the club system and the Getaway system. So you're gonna find all the usual stuff here. This is quite normal now for the cross compatibility, where if there's new skills or careers added with a pack, they do tend to get added to the club system. So I've got my notes here, and I'm going to kind of go through them because there's a lot of information. I'm trying to organize it all in my mind. But the club hangouts, so you can pick where the club tends to hang out or pick a specific venue. Now, you can do this on the custom venues, which is the new venue type that comes with this pack. There's another one as well, playgrounds, which is a more child-focused version of the existing park that we have in the game, where kids are going to come in and use the playground equipment more. And so yeah, you can have clubs on both of these venues. I was quite excited about the custom venue because a lot of the time you can't kind of like run clubs on things like retail lots or small business venues and things like that. So, but you can with Getaways, and oh my goodness, it has so many opportunities. But before we get into that, let's talk about the admission rules. So you can choose the new career, which is park worker. Marital status, I feel like I added this because it needs an update, because one of the features of the new pack is that there's this like romantic getaway kind of like for singles and things like that, and I just feel like we need a little bit more definition in the marital thing. where it's not just kind of like married, unmarried, but it's also like partnered. I just feel like we need a little bit more customization there. Traits. The new traits are there. There's actually one new trait with this pack, which when you first open CAS, it's kind of like, oh, only one trait and like one aspiration for adults, one aspiration for children. It feels a bit light in CAS, but there's more traits actually through gameplay, so don't be put off by that. The new trait, competitive, it is available in the club system as one of the filters you can use for kind of like who can join your club. But there are other traits as well, which I wasn't actually aware that these were even in the game until I looked at the club system, and I was like, what are those? But there's all these like seasoned traits, like seasoned camp director, seasoned camp counselor, seasoned retreat leader, seasoned romantic host, seasoned single, I think one of them is. I'll put them up on the screen, but I'm not quite sure how you actually earn these. I think it's from doing like repeated getaways, but if you actually look at some of the pre-made sims, like the family from the trailer, the guy with the moustache, Nigel, his family actually have these traits already, so yeah, they're included, and that was quite a surprise to me. I was excited about that. You can also as well filter for the new skills, so this is archery, diving, entomology, and papercraft. Entomology is kind of like studying insects. The Sims is teaching me. The Sims is my education system. So when the club is actually together, you can set the activities of like what they're going to do while they're there. One of the activities is make smoothie. This is a new feature of the pack. This is under food and drink. You've also got papercraft under arts and music. Under hobbies, you've got free weights and use the spinning bike. Also, the new free weights and spinning bikes are included under like the general workout tab that we've had for a while. That's been like updated to include it. You can't see it here, but you can see it on the business system. I'll show you in a minute. Under fun and games, you've got do archery and do rock paper scissors. So there's so much room for activities in this pack. There's so much. Under outdoor, you've got collect butterflies, which I think is super cute for a club, like especially like kids. I think if you've got like a children's kind of science club, I think it could be really, really cute to have them kind of do that at the weekends. You can also enjoy water slides, use the diving board, and use kayaks. There's so many new features. So there is a new modular playground in this pack, which I am all about. I love this so much. I think I can't stop playing with it, like piecing it together and creating different things, but I couldn't see any club rules for it. So I used the existing club rule, use playground equipment, to see if the Sims would be pushed to use the playground equipment. It didn't seem to push them to use it, although it did kind of give them points for using it. So I don't know if there was just kind of like a little blip with the autonomy, but I did feed it back to the Sims team, and it is on the kind of like things that they're looking into. So hopefully that is going to be working kind of like properly by the time you guys get it. Now, one thing that I was super excited for was that you can run a club gathering while you're on a getaway. You can use the two features together, and there's so many practical applications for this. I've already used it in a few different ways. So one thing I did was I sent my kind of like kids adventuring club to one of the pre-made kind of kids camp getaways, and this was really useful because I could kind of like send them, I could use go here to kind of make them all go to a specific point. So kind of within that, you know, you've got kind of lots of kids there, so you can keep your actual friend group together, which I think is super useful, just to kind of like gather them all together, because there is this new option when you have when you're on a getaway to kind of like call everybody from the getaway together into a group, but sometimes you just want your buddies, you know, you just want to kind of slide off and play hide and seek over there with your friends. You don't want kind of like Tom, Dick and Harry coming as well. Now another thing with the getaway planner is that when you're kind of like selecting which Sims you want to go, you can actually filter for the club system, so you can actually just really easily find all your friends and kind of like take them on a getaway with you. So yeah, it's just really, really useful, really like actually impressed by the UI. Now I also use the club system with the romantic getaway. This is one of the pre-made getaways that come with the pack. It's all to do with like singles and mingling, and you kind of like get knocked out. It's like a competition where you get sent home if you don't kind of like romance enough. And so this has So sometimes when you're on a getaway, there's this kind of click system. It's called Form an Alliance. And you kind of like make friends and kind of like get your little allies together in order to kind of like, I don't know, vote out the other competitors or to, you know, play to win. You can create these kind of like allyships, but like it gets declined a lot. Like a lot of the time the Sims say no. And so being able to form a group instead of like kind of like, or like when someone does become an ally, you can add them to the group, and then you just have more control over kind of like the movement of those Sims. Also, you have all the benefits of the club system in terms of like relationship boosts and push activities. So for example, in the romantic getaway, perhaps you're having a bit of trouble, perhaps people aren't really kind of like into your kind of romantic advances, but if you stick everybody in a club together and tell them to do romantic activities, they're going to approach you more to flirt. And I did find that I kind of made a huge amount of progress when I kind of put people in a club together, and before you knew it, they were kind of like in bed together. And so it's just really, really helpful. I do definitely recommend using the club system to kind of like, you know, form your little groups within the getaway. It works really well. Also, if you make friends while you're on a getaway and you want to keep in touch with them, you know, adding them to your group and kind of being able to meet up with them after the getaway and do other things with them, again, I think is really nice because, you know, you might meet people with common interests. You know, if you go to the fitness getaway, you might have like fitness buddies that you go out running with or you go to the gym with. So there's a lot of practical applications with the club system, and I feel like there's a lot of crossover there, a lot of potential, especially because like both systems tend to use the same kind of, mostly the same activities. So what you can do on a getaway, you can also do in a club. There's a lot of crossover there. Obviously, Lovestruck is going to be really useful for all the romance getaways. If you're really into kind of like the romance kind of reality TV show aspect of the pack, Lovestruck is definitely going to be, it's going to be a bit of a goldmine there because it comes with a lot of romantic interactions. This is where you introduce kind of like jealousy and being able to kind of like control the jealousy. So you can actually approach, you know, your romantic partners and say, hey, can you just be okay with me woohooing other people? And like you can convince your partner to agree to that. So if you want to kind of like have a romantic getaway and be kind of like polyamorous, you know, you're going to have those controls there, which did come with Lovestruck. I think a base game update, or I think they came with a base game update with Lovestruck. So obviously having the romance skill as well is going to give you an advantage if you're doing the romantic getaways, if you want a bit of a Don Juan character. And you also get lots of new interactions as well to do with romance, which are going to help you out with your seduction technique. I did find as well that I was triggering a lot of the personality traits. So with Growing Together, if you have that pack installed, you're going to see a lot of development of your character through gameplay. And so getting these kind of like bonus traits offered throughout all the getaways actually. So I was getting things like active when I was on a fitness getaway and things like that. But the romance getaway specifically, I was seeing a lot of traits offered to do with romance. So a sim would get rejected and they'd get the unflirty trait offered, or a sim would get the jealous trait offered when, you know, they saw the partner cheating. So a lot of these traits were popping up. So again, really good for character development, really good for kind of building stories through gameplay. So Growing Together and Lovestruck added these kind of like relationship dynamics, family dynamics for Growing Together and romantic dynamics for Lovestruck. So you would see, you know, your Sims getting hot and heavy and you'd get the steamy dynamic pop up, or, you know, you'd get the wholesome dynamic if you were going on like a family getaway. And maybe, you know, you don't get lucky on the romantic getaway. You can always open up Cupid's Corner if you have Lovestruck and kind of find some Sims to date on there. So if you're on a getaway and you want to throw some more objects in there, it's really easy to do. While you're on an active getaway, you just click the ellipses on the getaway kind of schedule and it'll open up the whole getaway planner, and you can just go in there and modify the schedule. So I went in and added some Lovestruck items like the picnic blanket, the costume chest, and the, is it like thumbs up party game? Who's up party game? And just to give some more activities for them to do, and you can just go ahead and add these to the activity planner whenever you think it's suitable. I would say that the more activities you add, the more scattered the Sims are and the less likely they are to do things as a group. So you want to keep things reduced to kind of like one or two things for the whole schedule, just so that Sims kind of stay on task and don't get too scattered. But yeah, it was really funny. So they were using the costume chest chest. I do wish I could specify that they should be using kind of like flirty outfits, because the outfits were a little bit random, but it was funny. It's my sense of humor to do that. And then yeah, you can have them all play that like Who's Up party game and kind of get to know each other as a bit of an icebreaker if you want to. So if you're on a getaway for a number of days and you want to mix things up and not do the exact same activity every day, you can go in and kind of like switch things up. So maybe one day they're doing canoeing, one day they're doing the party games, one day maybe they're dancing, and it just kind of switches things up in a really dynamic way if you edit things as you go when you're on a getaway. With Love Struck as well, that dating phone call finally makes sense, where you get called up by, is it Valentina? And she says, hey, do you want to come on this dating game show? Now we actually can. I wanted to try with Get Famous and see how it worked with like the fame system and the reputation system. I definitely saw just generally throughout my gameplay, my Sims building a good reputation, because a lot of my Sims did good things. I guess if you had kind of like the house villain, you could build a bad reputation, and that could be quite interesting to see. It definitely made things more challenging. I like the idea of like playing the villain on the reality TV show. I think that's going to be fun gameplay. So with the fame system, you're definitely going to build fame through doing certain activities. However, I didn't see anything specifically tied to this pack, you know, specifically tied to winning a getaway. I didn't really notice a difference, but you can experiment with that on your own. And again, it's not the final version of the pack, so this might be something that they're still working on adding before the pack's released. Okay, so there's a huge list of activities that you can do while on a getaway if you've got all packs installed. I look a mess, I've just answered the door, I took a package in for a neighbour. But you've got things like acting routines. So, you know, if you want to do acting classes at Judith Ward's house, that's something you can do. Arts and music, which if you hover over, you can see all the things that are listed under each of these things if you're not quite sure. So for example, arts and music covers cross stitch, pianos, violins. So maybe you're going to do an arts and crafts school. Attend lectures if you've got businesses and hobbies. That would be good for Discovery University and high school years as well, I guess. Bake, bathe and shower, battle with void critters, be flirty, be funny, be mean, be mischievous. Let me actually go through all the things individually. So food and drink. So if you wanted to do like a baking competition, that could be something you could absolutely do. Drink ranch nectar, maybe you're hanging out on a ranch. Make ranch nectar, so maybe you want to go and have like a vineyard kind of getaway in Tartosa with kind of ranch nectar. That could be something really cool to do. You can make treats, make sweets. Maybe you want to run some kind of like, I don't know, factory getaway. I don't know what you guys are up to. I've heard the rumours. Arts and music, so acting routines, do comedy, cross stitch, DJ, knitting, papercraft, which is new from the pack, pipe organ if you want to have Vlad run getaways and teach people how to play the organ, watch live entertainment, hobbies, build robots. So that could be really cool if you want to do a getaway focused on kind of like students who are studying technology at Foxbury. Cheerleading, this is actually my cheerleading club that I've got up now, which I'll do a separate video on. It was really fun. Craft apothecary elixirs, that's great if you've got like fairies, if you're doing herbalism and things like that. Not herbalism, what am I talking about? Debate, another one for university. I've got a video on like a military training camp coming, so watch out for that. That uses debate. Do seances if you want to have kind of like a spooky getaway. Do yoga retreats, spa retreats, meditate, mentor fitness. So if you want to, this is actually something that my cheerleader's currently doing. Well, not currently because she's currently sleeping, but if I go to do yoga, she's actually mentoring the cheer initiates. So that's pretty cool. Where are we as well? There's just so many. Do gemology, like everything that would normally be in the club system or the businesses and hobbies system is here. Workout includes the new items, the spinning bike. Workout includes the new items, the spinning bikes and the free weights, including things like climbing walls as well. Archery's there because that's in the new pack. Playing cards, playing football toss, playing games. So if you want to have a really wholesome camping retreat for your whole family, you want to have everybody doing jigsaws together, that could happen. You can read tarot cards together, again, if you're doing like a spooky retreat. Mischief and mayhem, so you know, if you're into occults and you want to have some kind of occult getaway, that's where you're going to find that kind of stuff. Drink plasma, use alien powers, all that good kind of stuff. You can bike around, you can build the natural living skill. Again, this is all packs installed, so do check for which pack these things come from. Don't expect to get all this just with Adventure Awaits, because this is everything. All the animal stuff, care for livestock, care for pets, care for ranch animals, conservation activities, dive in the ocean, enjoy the outdoors, go rock climbing. You could have a getaway specifically focused on breeding and releasing axolotls if that's what you want. There's just everything you could possibly think of pretty much is here. All the normal social interactions that you could have. So again, you could have literal fight club as a getaway if that's what you wanted to do. Some kind of like manly training boxing competition, I guess. I don't know. Like, there's so many possibilities. This is what I love about this pack, and with systems like this and the club system and the small business system, because they incorporate pretty much everything that you can do in the game. There's so many different things that you can combine to create new ideas and create kind of original flexible getaways. So you're not just buying this pack and getting camping, you know, it's not just outdoor retreat 2.0, because, you know, I could do like a scary club where I watch scary movies, scare each other and eat popcorn. I actually have done that. I've created a cinema where people do that. I had like a mascot that would go around scaring people, and then people would go and watch like scary movies and eat popcorn. Battle for critters, build child skills. There's like perform puppet shows, so maybe you want like a little theatre group for kids, and they do puppet shows and they do acting. Like, that could be really fun. Play marbles, use the activity tables, home activities. So again, this is really useful. I do really like free time. Now, you have self-care. I find that sometimes if you choose self-care, it pushes them to do things they don't necessarily need to do. So they might not need to sleep, but because they're trying to fulfill that need, they'll sleep anyway, or they'll go for like a second shower. So I don't really necessarily like self-care too much. I like free time because they just do their normal autonomy. So you know, you might have the host and they've done cleaning and serving food for the day, so they'll have a couple of sessions where they just kind of do their own autonomy and do their own thing, and they'll take care of their needs naturally. So that's a really useful one. Yeah, and what else there as well? Stay near household sims is handy. So the list is huge. This, like, literally like what, 100, 200, I don't even know how many things are here, but there's a lot of things that you can do on Getaways. And again, that is brilliant cross expansion pack compatibility. These are the kind of features that I find really flexible and I like to use. I did create a series of mods where I was kind of doing this stuff, but in the background through modding. So I was doing this through the kind of like files that run the game, where you kind of like tell Sims to go to a certain venue and what to do on that venue and who's showing up. But now this is kind of like front facing for anyone to use, and I think that is a really powerful tool. It's basically a like modding the game, but in your own hands. So I think this is awesome, and do you know what? Happy to see Woohoo on there, because yes, we want that club. As for where you can host getaways, pretty much most places. So you can host getaways in any world. The only world that I found to be restricted was Batu, because you can host them in Granite Falls and you can host them in Selva Dorada. As for venues, you can do them on residential lots, including I ran a getaway on a haunted house residential at one point. You can also do it in places like ancient ruins, high schools, national parks, community spaces from Eco Lifestyle, nightclubs, pools, the onsen bathhouse from Snowy Escape. So there's like so many different lots that you can actually use them on. Cemeteries, if that's what you're into. There's so many different options for where you can host a getaway and like what you can do there. It's basically I think it's like game development in our own hands. It's a really powerful system. Now, the one exception to this rule is that you can't host getaways on business lots, from what I can tell. So this is vets, retail units, restaurants, rental units. So that's the only exception. If it's already a business, you can't run a getaway there. But I found that I didn't really need to, because I could do a lot of what I wanted to do with the Getaway system itself. So for example, restaurants, you can have Sims who cook. For example, you can have Sims who clean up and wait the tables. You can have Sims who come in and specifically order food and like eat food. You can have people who tend the bar. So you can set up a restaurant with the Getaway system. You don't necessarily need to do it with the restaurant system. The exception being the menu, but the new meals from Adventure Awaits are included on the dine out menu. So I found like, was it like seafood skewers, like what are they called, jellyfish skewers and jellyfish soup, I think it's called. You'll see it on the screen. Ooh, I don't want it, but they are on the menu. And you know, not all the new food is always on the dine out menu, so it's really cool that they remembered to do that. You can host or attend a getaway on a penthouse lot. So if you want to go and have a city break in San Myshuno, or a lovely kind of romantic weekend away in Ciudad Enamorada, you can do that. So let's talk retail. Now there's quite a few different retail systems now in the game, and all of them kind of work with Papercrafts. I had the pre-made sim Sarah kind of mock up some Papercrafts to see what I could buy and sell and where from. So the first thing I checked was Plopsy. You can sell Papercrafts on you can sell Papercrafts on too many P's. You can sell Papercrafts on Plopsy. You can also buy them from Plopsy. Now the stock rotates, so sometimes you'll see them, sometimes you won't, but I was able to buy a butterfly and one of these kind of wonky toys from there as well. I didn't see any under purchase gifts, and I didn't see any under romantic gifts, but the romantic gifts I thought would be very, very useful if you were on a romantic getaway retreat, you know, to be able to just buy things like nectar and chocolates and things like that and flowers from there to impress your kind of date and kind of get a bit further on in the competition. So just reminding you that that's a feature that you might want to use. I was also able to sell Papercrafts on the little sales tables. There's a really cute one that actually has a kind of paper kind of origami design, so I thought that one was perfect. Also small businesses, I was able to sell Papercrafts via the small business kind of shelves. I wasn't able to use the wall, so with the butterflies you can enable them for wall placement, but they wouldn't place onto the kind of like sales wall. I couldn't make it do that, so that's a shame, but you can sell them like flat from the table, so it is possible. So as for the small business system and compatibility there, I didn't see any new presets. I didn't really expect there to be any new ones, but I thought I'd check anyway. Getting my notes for this one. So for business activities, again, very, very similar to the club system. Pretty much whatever you find on the club system, you're going to find for businesses as well. So under food and drink, there was make smoothies. Art and music, there was Papercraft. Hobbies, you've got lift free weights and use spinning bike. Now something that businesses and hobbies has that the club system doesn't is hover text. So I hovered over the just plain workout activity, and it does actually list the spinning bikes and free weights under there as well. So you can get them to specifically do those activities, or more generally just use gym equipment. Just letting you know that a lot of the activities have also been updated to include the new activities, which I think is super cool. Fun and games, you've got do archery, you've got play rock paper scissors. Under outdoors, you've got collect butterflies, enjoy water slides, use the new diving boards, and use kayaks. So all that is included there. Also, the existing use water vehicles activity has been updated to include kayaks. Kids, now again, I looked at play on playground equipment, which is like the existing activity, and I don't see the modular playground included on there currently, but I think it is in the plans to add that for release. Under your target customers, you can target park workers, which is the new career from Adventure Awaits. You can target Sims with the competitive trait. Again, maybe you're going to do some kind of like sports club or gaming club and you want people to be competitive, you can get them to show up to that. All those kind of new hidden season traits that you can earn through doing getaways are all included there as well. And you can also target Sims with the 4 new skills, Entomology, Archery, diving, and Papercraft. And I didn't forget to look at employee tasks as well. So what can you tell your employees to do? You can actually order your employees to make smoothies. So again, if you want to kind of run a smoothie bar, you can have someone kind of making those smoothies. I do think they tend to drink them when they make them though, so watch out for that. You can tell your employees to care for little ones, which I think was already included, but I think it could be particularly useful for kind of like incorporating with getaway stuff. And you can have your employees do papercraft. So again, if you're going to do a little papercraft shop, that's something that you can do. And of course, you've got things like from businesses and hobbies, like all the mentoring stuff, which I've used a lot on Getaways. I used it for my cheerleading camp. I used it for my military camp. You know, just generally being able to mentor the people who are coming to these Getaways, I think is a really useful thing to do. Now, I really like the Getaway system. Again, I created mods that basically did the same thing, but in the background. So I kind of understand how the code works. And I really, really love that this is basically taking modding and making it front facing and kind of like user facing so anyone can do it. And again, like creating custom venues, I think is a really powerful thing to do. And there's so many different possibilities with it because, you know, custom venues used to be this boring thing where, you know, Sims would go and they would do nothing. But now you can actually direct Sims to do certain activities at these venues, which is really useful, I think. A list of Getaways that I've kind of tried with varying amounts of success. I had a yoga retreat and kind of like a spa weekend. Now it's really easy to just hijack the existing Getaways and just pick one of the pre-made venues and kind of adapt the schedule to do more things that you want to do. So you can just do like the B&B and turn it into a yoga retreat just by adding spa activities to the existing schedule. I also did a ranch retreat from scratch, a military training camp, which I'll have a separate video on, a cheerleading sorority system, which again I'll have a video going up on that. I had a cinema, which was also a bowling alley. So I had like Brant and Brent hacking take their dog to a cute little like B&B kind of cabin retreat in the new world of Gibby Point, and they had a really lovely time. Like they went and swam under the stars, and then they had some woohoo in the pool, and like the other guests kept the dog entertained, like he was swimming around in the pool. There is a bug in the game which has sadly affected my early access, but it's an existing bug that is not specific to this pack, where when you launch a new game, all the animals are gone. So there's no cats, there's no dogs, there's no horses, they're just not there. So I did have to give Brant and Brent a new dog, but hopefully the Sims will have that fixed quite soon because it's a bit of an upsetting bug. But again, it's not specific to this pack. Just if you're wondering why the dog's different, he was gone. I had to adopt a new puppy. I also had like a little farm B&B, and I had some Sims from Henford on Bagley kind of running it, and I just kind of adapted their house to add like a little separate kind of cottage on their lot, and then I had them adopt some sheep and some cows and some chickens, and you know, Brant and Brent could go there with their dog and hang out with the farm animals and have kind of like a little country B&B. So it's super easy to adapt the schedule and just throw a few extra activities in there or switch a few things out. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. I will have a separate video on kind of how to do getaways and custom venues. Sheep specifically, I feel like sheep are particularly suited to Gibby Point because it's based on like New Zealand, and I think New Zealand have a lot of sheep. There's some like very derpy looking sheep off in the distance, but if you've got horse ranch and you want to adopt some sheep and like I do some sheep shearing and maybe do some cross stitch or some knitting from the packs that they come with, I think that is very complimentary. I'll definitely be doing that myself, having a little sheep farm in Gibby Point. Now with the ranch retreat, there's no specific activities for horse riding, although if you go on a retreat and there's horses there, you can ride them. Now I do have to say that I had a problem with this. I could run the retreat as the owner of the lot who had the horses on their residential lot just fine. I could invite people over and kind of get them to kind of do ranchy things. But when I tried to go to the ranch retreat as a guest, it kept crashing my game or kicking me out to the world screen. So I hit a bug with that. I do believe it is something that is being fixed. So fingers crossed that should be working perfectly by the time you guys get the pack. Again, this is early access, it's not the final software. And there's a couple of things that they're still kind of ironing out. Yeah, so I did want to be honest about this because I did have some problems both with animals generally disappearing, which is a bug that is known, like it's not pack specific, and also this problem where I couldn't go to a lot with horses on it as a getaway, because some of you may be specifically looking to do those things. So I would recommend just kind of waiting and checking that those bugs are fixed first before you buy the pack, because I don't want anyone to be disappointed, and I don't want you to buy a pack based on a certain idea and then for it not to work. So just hold off on that, wait for them to fix it, and I believe that they'll probably be fixing those soon. There's so many things that I love about this pack though. So the butterflies and the entomology skill, I love this so much. Again, I definitely can see myself doing like a little young scientist club, or maybe some kind of scouts club if you've got seasons and you've got scouts, and having them go and collect butterflies. I think it's a really, really cute idea. I love the idea as well of like my first pet. No, that's a stuffed pack. Wait, no, I take that back. I love the idea of kind of learning about animals with small animals before you go and get like the dogs and the horses. Like you work your way up to the bigger animals, and so being able to care for like the little caterpillars and kind of read to them and feed them, I think is so cute for kids. Now I wanted to check the eco lifestyle bug houses. I was like, can I raise caterpillars with those, because it kind of reminds me of the grubs. There's no specific like butterfly related interactions on those kind of bug houses from eco lifestyle, but interacting with them does build the entomology skill, which I was like, yes, I love this because it's kind of like there's so many different ways that you can be an entomologist, and I love anything that's kind of sciencey and geeky, and so I love this skill. Honestly, I think the butterfly collection might be the only collection I've ever fully completed in the game. So yeah, I love the butterflies. I love the entomology skill. It's one of my favorite things about the pack. And so yeah, I really love that you can kind of like combine it with other bug things and kind of be a scientist of all the bugs in that way. I think that's super fun. Jumping back to retail, there are some interactable kind of rabbit hole buildings in the world. These are all really interesting to me. There's a couple of shops which just basically sell papercrafts and boats, but then I definitely recommend clicking on the lighthouse and clicking on the Firewatch Tower as well for some interesting interactions there. There's also kind of like a butterfly conservationist rabbit hole that you can click on. Focusing specifically on the kind of little boating shop, if you click on that you can actually find other boats from other packs. So I bought a sailboat from there and I was able to sail around on Gibby Point Harbour. So the sailboat actually comes from Solani Island Living, and likewise you can use canoes in any place where you can kind of like swim in the ocean or swim on the open water. You can use canoes there. You can also use canoes on swimming pools, which I think is great because I actually started a canoeing club in my high school and they would do it on the kind of like swimming pool that the school had. So yeah, that's my claim to fame. I'm guilty. Oh, the aquazip as well. So I bought an aquazip and I kind of zipped around the, it's not Jellyfish Junction, is it? I'm still learning the world names. The kind of town area, the kind of suburban area. I had Sim kind of use the aquazip there. So there's a lot of different portable objects in a lot of different packs that I kind of wanted to try out, and interactions as well that I kind of done in the open world anywhere. I take my yoga mat everywhere in the game, so of course I had to try out doing yoga around Gibby Point. Another really nice object that I think complements Adventure Awaits really well are tents. I know a lot of people were saying this is like Granite Falls 2.0. I think it's a lot more than that. I think it's a lot more of a flexible system than I think people were expecting. There are a lot of beautiful kind of scenic places around Gibby Point that are really nice to, you know, pull your tent out and kind of sleep under the stars. And I think it really complements the idea of like camp as well, to actually have a tent, especially if you're using something like Scouts or the military career from Seasons or Strangerville. I think they work really, really well for those. So if you are looking to buy a pack with a tent in, these come from Granite Falls, but I actually recommend Snowy Escape more if you are actually looking to buy a tent, because you also get kind of all the adventure stuff. Like you get the kind of ski ramps and the rock climbing and the mountain climbing and the onsen spa as well. So I think, you know, Snowy Escape over Outdoor Retreat I think would win out for me if I was going to recommend a pack with tents in, just because I think it complements Adventure Awaits a little bit more. Also things as well like the paper crafts work really well with kind of the Japanese setting of Snowy Escape. So I'm definitely going to be creating custom venues and getaways for Mount Komorebi in my own game. Also sleeping bags. So another pack that I think complements Adventure Awaits really, really well is Growing Together, because not only do you get like sleeping bags and stayovers, which I think complements and just suits the idea of kind of like making those friends at camp and then inviting them over to your house, but also things like the Treehouse, which I think is a really nice thing to have. I just think it suits. So I touched on like the onsen spa. I think also things like spa day and the meditation and the yoga mat. Now I use the yoga mat all the time when I play The Sims. I drag it around everywhere with me. Any kind of scenic spot, I'm there with my yoga mat. So there's a lot of really beautiful points where you can do yoga around Gibby Point. I do feel like if you wanted to play a kind of like spiritual kind of like hippie wellness game, there's certain places that are very kind of beautiful to do that, like where all the jellyfish are. Also things like moonbathing, sunbathing are nice to do. Riding your bike around Gibby Point feels really wholesome. I definitely feel like the world has a very active feeling, so whatever kind of activity or like active sport you want to do, I think suits the pack really well because it has like archery and all the fitness stuff, so it just complements. Also, some of you may be wondering about the natural living skill, because this again kind of works really well with like the idea of camping and tents and those kind of outdoor activities. So the natural living skill came with Enchanted by Nature, which is the fairy expansion pack, and it just means that you can sleep on the floor under the stars. You don't even need a bed. You can go swimming in the water. Anywhere where you can access the water tends to have a point where you can kind of like bathe in the water. Also things like being able to just pee anywhere outdoors. It's handy, it's useful, so it complements well. The look system and crystals. So again, one of those things that I absolutely love about Adventure Awaits, because I really like the crystals and like crystal creations. Outside the mine, there's a spot in the water where you can pan for crystals, and depending on how lucky you are, like depends on kind of what crystals you find and how many. So I did test this. It does tie into the look system that came with Enchanted by Nature, and you can see the, you know, they'll have like the green look symbol over the head if they're being particularly lucky. And the little pop-up does mention like how lucky they were in finding something. As for crystal creations itself and like the jewelry crafting, it gives kind of crystals more properties of kind of like magical effects that you can have. I didn't notice anything new with this pack. I didn't really expect there to be, because there's no new occult. You've got the Plumbird, but it's more of a character, a bit like the Granite Falls Bear, than a new kind of life form. So I wasn't really expecting anything new there from the crystal creation stuff. However, things like the ruby really help with romantic relationships. So if you're doing kind of the romantic getaway and you want to have an advantage on like Sims, you know, just boosting your romance ability and kind of how you're getting along with other Sims, kind of the rubies could be really handy for that. So a little ruby necklace for your loved one, maybe, I don't know. Another thing that I noticed was with the competitive trait, certain activities where there's any element of competition, your Sim will start sweating. So I noticed, I kind of like went for a wholesome family day out in San Sequoia and had the Sims doing kind of like the jigsaw puzzle, and the Sim was sweating. Like she took that jigsaw puzzle seriously. So yeah, there's a lot of different activities that will cause your competitive Sims to get a little bit worked up. So I like that in terms of cross compatibility. So as I said earlier, when you're going to cast for the first time, it doesn't look like there's much there. So there's the competitive trait, which does kind of conflict with lazy, which makes sense, I guess. I don't know, can you be lazy and competitive? Would you describe a gamer as lazy and competitive? Maybe they sit in front of the PC all day playing Sims competitively, possibly. But yeah, it doesn't really conflict with anything else that I can see. There's a child aspiration, the cool kid on the block, and there's a aspiration for adults to do kind of like butterfly collecting. A lot of the traits that could, and there are a lot of traits that come with this pack. So don't let Cass fool you. Most of the traits that come with this pack are via like actual gameplay, and come through as kind of gameplay awards. One of my favorite things about this pack, because I love kind of family gameplay, I love playing with children in in The Sims are formative moments. Now, these are specifically tied to children, and it just means that your childhood is going to be all about kind of exploring and adventuring and discovering who you are, what makes you tick, what are you good at. And the lovely thing about this is it actually leads you through to more activities as your sim ages up, and kind of like more things become available to them. So one of my favorite ones is like to do with exploring the ocean, which I think ties in really nicely to island living and kind of, you know, child of the ocean, and a lot of the kind of like careers and things to do with the ocean, like lifeguard and, you know, things like that. So I really like that these defining formative moments in childhood can kind of craft your future and the direction that your sims go in as they play, as they age up. Now, it's not just children that can earn these though. If you already have adults and you're like, oh, I wish I had that formative moment, you can actually get them. So these sometimes come through like a phone call, like a sim will remind you of a memory, or you'll do an activity and you'll be able to recall a formative moment, and you get to select which one you want from the list. I really love this because it just means that we can have those traits for adults as well. You know, even if we miss out on getting them as a child, like they're still accessible. And there's a huge amount of cross expansion pack compatibility here. So I'm going to go through the list with you now and we'll kind of look at a few things together. So some of these formative moment traits help out with kind of base game careers. So for example, action-packed childhood. As a child, this sim was very active and challenged themselves to do different athletic activities. As an adult, they'll advance more quickly in the athletic career. But then there's other ones that fit in with like different packs. So for example, aspiring child star. As a child, this sim aspired to become famous and tried to make it happen. As an adult, they'll advance more quickly in the actor career and get extra fame points. So this is Get Famous. I kind of mentioned Get Famous earlier and didn't mention that. Born for politics. So this affects the politics career, which comes from city living. You've got Business Kid, which can help with the salary person career from Snowy Escape. Center of the Attention helps with the entertainment career. Child Scientist helps with becoming an engineer if you have Discover University. Childhood Environmentalist helps with the conservation career from Island Living. So you can really see how your formative moments as a child like lead you to certain career paths as an adult, and I really, really love this. Grief Survivor helps with their fear of death and the Undertaker career, for example. Childhood Naturalist obviously helps with this pack. Childhood Ocean Explorer, I really, really love this one because I feel like it fits with Island Living so well. The established an image as a child helps with the style influencer career, which I think is actually base game, to be honest. Fisher Kid helps with the fishing career from Island Living. Good Student's really helpful if you want to go into the education career, which came with Discover University. It also helps with like homework and things like this. Having a green thumb helps with the gardening career. That's great if you have seasons. Horse Kid obviously helps with horse ranch. I love that, the idea of being a horse kid and like then growing up and like having a ranch, I think is such a cool idea. If you've got life and death as well, Learn from the Past also helps with, you know, if you like seeing ghosts and you've got family members who have passed on, I think it's going to help with that. Miniature Photographer helps with the photography career. I think that was Get to Work, was it? No, Moschino stuff, I think. Naturally Disciplined. Now I use this one myself because I have a sim in the army career, so that helped her with that. That came from Strangerville. Played doctor as a kid from the little kind of like playing with the little toys that came with parenthood can lead you to be a better doctor if you have work from home, which I think that's really cool. You know, like the idea of like the empathy, the caring for your teddy bear leads you to become a doctor. You've got ran a club as a kid. If you've got get together, I'm getting all my packs mixed up now. Spy Kid, which helps with the base game secret agent career. Yeah, there's just so many, and I really love this idea of kind of like forming your personality as a kid and that defining your career as an adult. I'm really into formative moments. I think they're really, really cool, and I think there's a lot of diversity there as well. I think there's kind of something for everyone, which I think is awesome. Like if your kid's into kind of like geeky stuff or like nature, or you know, maybe they're a bit of a bookworm, maybe they're more social, maybe they're more active, there really is something for kind of every child. And so much cross-pack compatibility. I think it's really, really awesome. I'm really into this. I think they've really thought about it as well, because this could have been a list of like, it just makes you more focused, it makes you more confident, it makes you more better at cleaning. You know, it could be really kind of like base game, but it's not. It really incorporates a lot of the different packs, which I think if you're the sort of player who really loves The Sims and you have bought a lot of packs and you want that integration, I think it feels really, really rewarding to kind of have these reward traits that push other packs in this way. And just you get more use out of the stuff that you've bought. So for me, this is such a winner. So not only do you get extra traits through gameplay with formative moments or recalling formative moments, but also through completing getaways. So, and this isn't just kind of like this seasoned counselor stuff that I was talking about earlier. This is more stuff. So I had a sim complete a army basic training kind of course camp thing, and she got this reward called Rooted Wanderer, which helps with kind of like outdoorsy things. And also I had a sim do a kind of cheer camp, and she got, what was it called, Artificially Enriched, which gives you like a creative boost, which was suitable for kind of like the activities that she was doing. So again, you just, the more you engage with this pack, the more your sim's personality grows in a lot of different ways. So if you're really into the kind of like child development aspect of Adventure Awaits and you want more of that, I think Parenthood and Growing Together are the way to go, because they add all these different kind of parenting interactions that can help your sim to grow and be a more confident child, or to have better character values. And so all this I found really, really complimentary. So these are kind of like the holy trinity of family gameplay packs for me. Adventure Awaits, Growing Together, and Parenthood. I think just, they're giving me everything I need for my like raising kids. And I love raising kids in The Sims. And I love raising them with kind of like the good character values and things like this. Now, I didn't see too much like specific cross expansion pack play here. It's more complementary. I was really looking for the competitive trait, because the competitive trait with children can be really volatile. You know, if they can really like lose the steam and, you know, be quite disruptive with it. So I was wondering if there was specific kind of like parenting action interactions to kind of manage that, and to tell them, hey, calm down, stop being so angry and disruptive. I do think it layers up a little bit. So if your like kid is already angry at losing a game, you know, this can lead them to kind of like blow off steam in a negative way, which could affect their character values negative way, in a negative way. So it kind of like they kind of push against each other in that way, where they can fire each other up and kind of get more riled up. But that also gives you more kind of opportunities to parent the character values. So if your kid's kind of angry because they've lost a game, you can kind of talk through their emotions with them and talk them through that way. So it's complementary rather than cross pack. But I did find that I was enjoying using all these different things together. I also wanted to see sort of a lot of the parenting interactions, if I was running one of the little camps for the children, or if I was like a camp counselor. There's more interactions, so you can kind of like talk through children's problems with them, although a lot of them are unlocked through actually being a parent or being a caregiver. So you might have to adopt children as a care dependent if you want to access those parenting interactions. They're not kind of freely available. Another thing that I found was like I added the treehouse to a camp, but then my children couldn't build the treehouse unless an adult was already helping them. But I was only controlling the kids, so I couldn't like make the camp counselors come and do that with me. So you'd have to build that as a camp counselor first, I guess, or just have like a handy dad, form a group of handy dads and all go and build the treehouse together. That could be really cute for storytelling. Like we want to go and kind of build a treehouse in the kids camp because we know how much our kids love the kids camp. Again, I think there's a lot of storytelling potential if you have different packs installed, rather than it being specifically cross pack kind of coded gameplay. It's just kind of stuff that I want to do. You do get sleeping bags as well with Growing Together. So again, I think sleeping bags could be really cute for like camping under the stars and that sort of thing. And just generally as well, a lot of kind of getaways where, you know, maybe you're outdoors, or maybe you've got a lot of kids who are all coming to someone's house. Those kind of sleeping bags and tents, I think, are going to be very handy for making sure everybody's got somewhere to sleep. Imaginary friends. Again, I really wanted imaginary friends back, and I think they've gone above and beyond my expectations. The only thing I would have liked to have done was like customize their appearance. You can't really do that. They kind of have these kind of brought to life doll forms, but they're so entertaining and so comical and so funny to look at, and you get like a choice of 4, so I don't mind that I can't customize them. You can kind of like age them up to be a teenager and kind of customize them at that point, if you want to kind of make them real, which is pretty fun. However, imaginary friends, they actually suggest activities to your child, and they'll suggest activities from different packs. So they'll be like, hey, have you thought about horse riding? Hey, have you ever tried cross stitching? So I think that's really fun as well, because I like the idea of these kind of spontaneous suggestions. So a lot of the time I have features that I kind of forget about when I'm playing, and then I'll only remember that they exist kind of when I stumble across them in Build By. So having this imaginary friend put ideas into your mind, I think, is a great way of kind of spontaneously having a sim go, hey, I think I might be really into, I don't know, riding a bike, because your imaginary friend has suggested it to you. So I really like that. That's really good cross-pack gameplay. The imaginary friends as well, they can do a lot of the same activities that children can do. So you can't kind of directly kind of click on them and make them do something themselves, but anything that you could invite a normal child to do, you can invite your imaginary friend to do with you. I need to check and see if they can join clubs or not, so I'll put that up on the screen here to show you if you can or can't have them join a club, because it might be cool to have a club but it's all imaginary friends. And then you can like get them to do like the club activities with you. It's like, right, we're all gonna do yoga now, or we're all gonna go fishing now, or we're all gonna ride kayaks together. So yeah, I'll put up on the screen whether or not you can actually do that. Gosh, so much. Again, I'm genuinely so impressed with the actual coded cross-pack gameplay that has been added in this pack. They really have gone the extra mile. Like this is a really big expansion pack, because, you know, with all the formative moments that tie into other packs, with the imaginary friends suggesting other packs, with the Getaway system itself just incorporating so many activities from so many packs, like it's a very fulfilling expansion pack for me. I'm really enjoying kind of my time with it. I was disappointed when I checked this for Enchanted by Nature, because I was shocked that they didn't add anything here. Adventure Awaits have got my back because I checked, you know, with Life and Death you have like the bucket list goals. I went and checked the bucket list goals, not really expecting very much, because Enchanted by Nature had let me down, and they've got so many. They've got them all, they're there. So I'm gonna get my list. So the bucket list, under Get Busy, you've got Attune to Water. Now you can woohoo just in any open water as like the new woohoo spot in the game. So you can woohoo in pools, you can woohoo out in the open like ocean, and so yeah, that has been added as a goal with the bucket list. Under adventure, you've got an existing bucket list goal called boating trip, and I wanted to see, because it was all about being on the open water, so I wanted to see if spending time on a kayak would satisfy this. At this point it doesn't. Again, it's not the final release, so it might be something that they just haven't got around to adding yet. It might be there for the full version, but yeah, the kayak didn't unfortunately satisfy that goal. But under success, you've got 3 new goals for this pack. You've got fill butterfly habitat, full butterfly habitat. So basically you get one of every butterfly and you fill the whole habitat. You've got master archer, which sounds very dirgy to me. If you've seen my Baldur's Gate gameplay, I'm like, dirge, is that you? The description. You've got diving, cool at the pool. Under create, you've got create an epic papercraft, which means you need to make a level 10 papercraft and declare it the most epic papercraft. There's nothing new under travel, which I was surprised about, because I was expecting one for Gibby Point, but there isn't one, which I was actually shocked that there wasn't, considering they've got everything else. Under something else as well, you've got spend a full day outside, which isn't specific to Adventure Awaits, but I think Adventure Awaits will help you fulfill that goal really easily. So yeah, that is my discoveries of what I checked out. And now we come to seasons and what is the weather like in Gibby Point. Now it's based kind of roughly on New Zealand. I have googled New Zealand weather. It sounds pretty similar to England, like it rains a lot. It's not always sunny. It's not like Australia where it's like always hot. It's a little bit further away from the equator, so it does rain a lot. They have thunderstorms, they have snow, they have like the seasonal tree colours, like the autumnal leaves. It's not, I feel like they've possibly made the tree line look a bit more tropical than it actually is in New Zealand. I'm not from New Zealand, I've never been there, I've just been looking at Google Images. It feels more like it's more like a brush, kind of like ferny brush situation rather than kind of like the tropical palm trees that you see a lot of in the world. But again, it's not like for like, it's kind of like based on the region, not exact. But pretty much any weather that you would expect you get in Gibby Point. When the weather's clear, it's absolutely beautiful. You get these gorgeous sunrises and sunsets where, you know, your Sims are out on the lake canoeing and the sun is glinting off the water. You also get these really, really beautiful spaces, like for example where the jellyfish turn up. It's very beautiful there, kind of very mystic feeling. Also kind of around Gibby Point itself, like the harbour and the lighthouse and the area where you can see kind of like the lights, what they call like the aurora borealis. Which is not the northern lights. I don't know what the southern lights equivalent is, but it's that. These areas are really, really beautiful, especially on like clear days. Now, you do get fog, and the vibe changes in this world so quickly because you go from this kind of like gorgeous summery day, everybody's having a great time, it's really wholesome, to I think I've just walked into a horror pack that I did not sign up for. Like the camp goes dark, the fog rolls in, and things get really spooky, and there's certain points around the world where things feel really creepy. So there's like this little fish, like abandoned fishing wharf area that feels like a Scooby-Doo hideout, or like I feel like Nancy Drew creeping around there. Like the lighthouse as well can be super creepy when like the fog rolls in. The big watchtower, like the fog rolls in like behind it, and oh my goodness, it's so creepy. It really does feel like the game Firewatch to me. The camp as well just feels like it's haunted. It feels like, yeah, there's ghosts in this camp. It's a haunted camp. Like the rain as well, like you get light rain, you get like a little trickle, which can be very satisfying and soothing, but can absolutely ruin your camping trip, along with huge thunderstorms and lightning, which is very scary. Like I say, the vibe changes, and it's kind of, if you feel like you're in a horror movie, it's like, what is this? Like, what kind of camp is this? The lighthouse itself is really cute. Like I do recommend clicking on the lighthouse and kind of exploring some of the interactions that it has on it. I don't want to spoil it for you, but yeah, I really vibe with the lighthouse. The watchtower as well, I definitely recommend clicking on that and exploring some of the options there without ruining too much. The lighthouse is not as spooky as it seems, I feel, on first impressions. I didn't realize you could turn the light on. So a lot of my footage from the lighthouse, and there's a lot of it, I spent so much time recording that lighthouse, it's so pretty. But yeah, I was like, why is the light coming on? It's because you have to manually turn the light on. Also, I'm watching The Lighthouse now by Robert Pattinson. I started watching it last night, not by him, but he's in it. I've watched it before, and I was inspired to rewatch it because of that bloody lighthouse and all my footage. It's also, it reminds me of Round the Twist, you know, like, did you watch that as a kid? Like, did you ever felt like this? When strange things happen, are you going around the twist? Like, it reminds me of that. Oh, so much. It reminds me of like so many kind of childhood like spooky things. Like it reminds me of Scooby-Doo, it reminds me of Nancy Drew, it reminds me of Round the Twist, it reminds me of kind of reading these like spooky, like Goosebumps type books and things as well. You know, when you're a kid and you like spooky things. Also at camp as well, at one point I had my Sims kind of carving pumpkins because it was getting close to Halloween with seasons, and so I had them doing like pumpkin carving. So yeah, I don't know, it's just really nice, and I like the way like the vibe changes. Like the Getaway itself, you can change it per season. So a Getaway in summer might be like canoes, a Getaway in autumn might be pumpkin carving, a Getaway in the winter might be more like snowy activities, like building snowmen and making snow angels and like keeping warm. So yeah, I I really like those shifts. So you can kind of do the same getaway again and again and again in different seasons and just switch out the activities, and it'll feel fresh and it'll feel new and it'll feel different. What else as well? Snow. It snows. The snow gets pretty thick. Pretty heavy. I would warn you that if you've got seasons, there's an option in the options to enable or disable temperature effects on Sims. Now, some of the activities that happen in the world of Gibby Point, for example, there's one where you go and swim under the kind of Aurora Borealis. It's not an Aurora Borealis because it's in the south, but whatever it is, like you go and swim out there at night, and if you have temperature effects enabled, your Sims are gonna freeze to death. Same with just generally a lot of the outdoor activities. Like you're gonna have to watch out for like Sims getting burnt or freezing to death. I recommend turning off temperature effects on Sims. I don't have it on anyway because I don't like my vampires constantly dying and things like that. I think I have a mod to stop my vampires dying from the sun, actually. Yeah. But yeah, just fair warning, the weather will kill your Sims in this pack. Like the world's really, really beautiful. So, you know, in autumn when the leaves start to fall from the trees, your Sims can get out there and start raking up the leaves. You can have like a little bonfire with the leaves. Like all those kind of like wholesome activities I think suit this world really, really well. I actually really like autumn in this world, especially in the kind of suburban kind of mountainous district that I've forgotten the name of. It's not Jellyfish Junction. I want to call it Jellyfish Junction because it has jellyfish, but that's the name of the other region. So yeah, but that area where you see all the jellyfish at night, it kind of and it feels mountainous. It's got like the old mining area there. Like there's like a suburban area that looks really, really pretty when all the leaves change to those kind of autumnal like auburn colours, and that's kind of my favourite season in that area. Oh, another thing you need to watch out for with the temperature is Sim Guru Connor has laid a trap, and it's that old slide that I knew as soon as I looked at it, that old rusty looking metal slide that used to try and kill me in my own childhood is trying to kill your Sims too at camp. Like there is a killer at camp and it's the slide because if you go down it when it's like boiling hot, when there's a heat wave, there is a chance that your Sim will catch fire. So don't say I didn't warn you. The slide is trying to kill you. They said there's no new deaths in this pack, but they lied. It's the slide. And now I'm rhyming, and I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Now, the rain is particularly disruptive to camping trips, especially when you're trying to cook over the campfire because the rain keeps putting the campfire out. You have to keep lighting it. And there's this new like cooking surface that you can put over a campfire, which acts a bit like a grill. You can kind of make like a hot pot type thing on it. Yeah, the rain's gonna ruin that for you and kind of put out your fire. So just be aware that surviving might be a bit more challenging if it's raining. There's other things as well, like things I did notice a couple of seasonal things popping up around the world. So where the watchtower is, I noticed there was like, you know, one of those water balloon buckets, one of those kind of popped up in summer. So do watch how, that's the only one I think I saw, but I thought it was really cool that the world was updating and changing depending on the season like that. So yeah, watch out for that. And I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say. I might tack on a few extra things if there's a few things that I've forgotten. I'm going to keep playing because I've got another couple of weeks with this pack before I release this video. So if there's anything else, I'll kind of update as I go along and I'll interject into my own video. Maybe I'll do a cross compatibility part 2. So if you've got any questions, please let me know down below. I will be in the comments section answering your questions like I was with Enchanted by Nature. So ask away and I'll answer your questions as best as I can. I do have to say I'm very overwhelmed by this. Like there's so much to think about. Like my notes, I've got pages and pages of notes because there's so much to check and there's so much detail, and like when I record it I don't necessarily record it in a sensible order, so I have to go back in and like edit my footage and clip it all together again and kind of make it make sense and make it digestible to you guys. So hopefully I explained everything in a reasonably understandable and sensible way. I'm sure I missed things. I always miss things. Oh my god, I did miss something. Discover University. Oh, sorry. How did I miss that? Why is that not in my notes? to forget something. Discover University. So if you apply for a biology degree, this can actually help you in the future with a park worker career. Also, if you apply for a psychology course, this can help you to become a camp counselor. So that's awesome that they remembered to include the careers with Discover University. Now, for the optional elective classes, there's 4 skills in this. That's 3. There's 4 new skills in this pack: Papercraft, Entomology, diving, and kayaking. And so I was expecting these to also be included under the optional elective classes. Now I think these rotate, they're not the same every time you look at them, and I couldn't see the new skills listed as elective classes, so that doesn't mean they're not there, but I did check multiple times across like 3 different days and I couldn't see any of them. And with there being 4 of them, I think I would have spotted at least one of them if they are there. So I'm assuming they're not currently there, at least in my build. Whether they add them at the last minute or not, I don't know, but it is good that the careers at least have Discover University integration. I might do a part 2 video. I'm going to do more videos on kind of specifically how to set up a custom venue, how to set up a getaway, what the difference is between those 2 things, how to set up certain themed getaways with different packs installed. So watch out for those if you're kind of feeling a bit overwhelmed by the system. I'll kind of break it down and I'll do a step-by-step for you. And yeah, I'm going to put some videos up on kind of like casts and individual sims and gameplay, so please watch out for those. Please like my video, share it with your friends, really appreciate it. If you are buying any packs, feel free to use my creator code, but again, you know your gameplay best, you know what you can and can't afford. Don't buy anything just because I'm excited about it. Buy the things that appeal to you. I'm not here to tell you to buy things. I'm just here to go, hey, I'm excited about this, yay. So yeah, I'm not gonna kind of be like, you have to buy this pack. Like, I'm just suggesting things. But yeah, if you are buying anything, you want to use my creator code, it's Cinderellimouse on the EA app. Watch out for giveaways as well. I've got a few different codes that I'm going to kind of like do videos around, so watch out for those. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're not late, because those codes go very quickly when I put them up in videos. And I think that's pretty much it. Hug your family, kiss your lovers, enjoy any getaways that you might be going on anytime soon in real life, and take care of your faces, friends. I will see you again soon. Bye.